From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to the WHTC Morning News for this Friday, January 8th. Friday mornings, we turn the spotlight to local governments. We call the segment City Hall Chatter. We talk with a leading elected official of our local governments. And the second Friday of the month, we have set aside for Holland. And we have Mayor Nathan Bocks on the other side of our Zoom connection. Nathan, good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you as well, Gary.
Glad you are with us and to talk a little bit about some of the issues that are facing the city of Holland as we begin a new year. But before we talk about some of the issues facing the city of Holland, certainly a topic I broached a little bit when I chatted yesterday on Talk of the Town with City Manager Keith Van Beek about security at Holland City Hall, especially during council meetings, in light of what happened on Wednesday in the U.S. Capitol, and then yesterday, a bomb threat being phoned in to the state Capitol. Without going into all of the details or all of the precautions that need to be made with the Holland Department of Public Safety, you have to still feel confident that if there is a controversial situation and a possible acrimonious situation involving a Holland City Council meeting, you guys are going to be pretty safe in the city council chambers.
Absolutely. I have the highest level of confidence in our police department. They do a great job of making sure that we're safe. There have been a few issues during my short tenure here where we thought that there may be, as you said, an acrimonious situation. Luckily, and I think it says a whole lot for this community, nothing has gotten anywhere near the point that a member of city council felt that they weren't safe. And that has to do, A, with the community, but B, with the fact that we have an absolutely stellar police department that makes sure that we are protected and safe and every precaution is taken that's necessary.
There is a related, I wouldn't say comment, but a related story in the sense that in the light of what you do for a living as an attorney at law, MERS News noted earlier this week that for the first time in Michigan's history since 1837 went into the Union, there are no practicing attorneys in the state Senate, and they were looking into that. And one of the representatives says, you don't have to have a law license to create a law, but you have to have one to practice the law. But yet, as a practicing attorney, some of the things that MERS News talked to some of the former state lawmakers who are attorneys, saying that, just because of the part-time nature of the situation, term limits, attorneys just are not going to get into politics, and also the toxic atmosphere. As an elected official yourself and as an attorney, do you sort of think, do I really need all this hassle?
I absolutely love the job of being mayor, and I do think the fact that I'm an attorney as well is helpful and in helping craft legislation, but also understanding how that legislation may be used in the real world. That news from MERS that's news to me. It's first I've heard that. I must have missed that story earlier in the week because I always assume, yes, there are attorneys in the legislature, and that's really a very helpful thing, I think, in a lot of cases, because they have the background in how that's going to be used. But also my law practice in Holland has been very helpful. The way I have it structured has been helpful for me in being able to do the public service aspect of what I do. Because I own the practice, because I've kept that practice small, it's given me the ability to be able to be engaged in the community, which is really what I enjoy doing. And so, yes, being a lawyer gives me the flexibility to be able to do this aspect of my life, wear those multiple hats. And I don't think I'd be able to do it if I had a different type of job, because there is a big time commitment to being the mayor of Holland. There is a big energy commitment. I spend an awful lot of time thinking about what we need to be doing in the community. And if I had a quote unquote regular job at maybe a quote unquote regular law firm, I wouldn't have the time and the energy to be able to do that. So my being a lawyer has actually facilitated me to be the mayor of Holland.
I will mention the fact that even though there are no practicing attorneys as elected state senators, they do, of course, have legal counsel retained. So if there is a legality they need to do, they have it all taken care of.
Exactly, as do we at the City of Holland. We have city attorneys that help us, and I have said more than once over the last year and a half that I've been in office that I am an attorney, but I am not the attorney for the City of Holland. And I am continually deferring to our city attorneys for their advice and their recommendation on what we ought to be doing as a city. So while, yes, I'm an attorney, I am not the city's attorney.
We're talking with Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks. It's going to be one of two conversations we'll have with Nathan today. Ask the Attorney segment is Nathan's turn, and he'll be joining us a little after 9:30 to talk about some legal questions. I will bring you up a topic that was brought up with Keith Van Beek, the city manager, on Talk of the Town yesterday. A caller called concerned about some density issues and zoning issues with some duplexes, and whether or not, where does it stand right now? And Keith sort of got everybody up to speed on that situation, but I followed up, and I'm going to ask you this type of question. We talk about dealing with affordable housing and making affordable housing more available in the city of Holland, and of course throughout the entire region. But there is a fine line to me of having affordable housing and then making sure it's zoned right so that we don't get a lot of the NIMBY crowd, not in my backyard, that could cause a lot of problems along this line.
Exactly. And whatever we do with any issue that we have that comes before us at City Council, there's a balance, and it's trying to find the right line, the right place to be able to have an issue come down on. And I've been involved in the Unified Development Ordinance process, and the zoning piece of it and the increased density piece of it is actually a very small fraction of the greater UDO Unified Development Ordinance issue that we're dealing with. But about a year ago, we went out as planning commissioners and city staff, and we had a listening tour, and we went to a number of different locations. We went to elementary schools. I think there was one or two at the library as well, where we said to the community, come in, tell us what you think about affordable housing, about increasing density. And the ones that I went to, I heard from a lot of folks saying, push the edge of the envelope, see what it is that you can do to try to increase the ability to be able to have more housing units within the city of Holland. So we took that back and said, okay, let's take a look at some of this language. And we put together some recommendations and some proposed language, and then put that out to the public for public comment, because the public is an integral part of this. We're talking about property that people own. For many people, the single biggest investment that they have. And in very loud voices, we heard back from the community over the last several months, we think that you're going too far with this. Planning Commission, we would like you to scale that back. We're not interested in having owner-occupied duplexes or multi-unit residences within our single-family residential neighborhood. And Planning Commission listens, we do. And so we said, okay, let's see how we can adapt that. And so we took duplexes, unowner-occupied duplexes off the table in what's traditionally now the R1 neighborhood, which will be low density residential moving forward. But what we did say is, what we heard from folks is, we want the people who are in our neighborhoods, the owners in our neighborhoods, to live in our neighborhoods as well. And so what we're proposing at this point are what are called auxiliary dwelling units. And the city already allows unattached auxiliary dwelling units. So you could have a second dwelling unit on your property that you could rent out to someone else, that a family member could live in. And what we're proposing now at the Planning Commission level is attached auxiliary dwelling units. So you could take a portion of your home, either currently or add on to it within zoning requirements, and create a second unit for a mother-in-law apartment, as it's often referred to, or as the city manager said yesterday, because I listened yesterday, if you have a developmentally disabled son or daughter that is able to live somewhat independently, but not completely, and you want them under your roof, but you want to give them the opportunity to have that level of independence, you can do that. But there are two requirements that are going to go along with that, very importantly. One is one of those units must be occupied by the owner of the property. So we keep homeowners in the neighborhood. And then the other is, before that auxiliary dwelling unit is created, we notify the people, I believe it's within 300 feet, which is our standard notification, and let them know that that's going to happen. And any neighbor within 300 feet can request that it be reviewed by the Board of Appeals beforehand. So we are including the neighbors in this. We're keeping those neighborhoods owner occupied, but we're also providing the ability to create some additional housing units in certain circumstances within the city of Holland to try to increase that density, but do it as we have described throughout this process, gently. We're not looking at making major changes here. We're looking at making small incremental changes to be able to allow for some more of that.
One other thing, and I'll make this in passing, Nathan Bocks, is the fact that the city council, along with city staff, will begin the process of developing a budget for fiscal 2022. Coffee with council is going to be virtual this year, but submissions to the city's website can be made. But council members will be asked to once again put a list of priorities and then eventually an overall master list that will help Keith Van Beek and his staff formulate a budget. Besides dealing with the COVID-19 situation and perhaps as well the affordable housing issue, what things would be on the top of your list, Nathan Bocks, for priorities as we get the budget process started?
There are a number of things that I'm interested in making sure that we move forward with and we continue with. 2020, even with COVID, was a year of incredible progress within the city of Holland. We got an awful lot done from our priority list last year, as well as we've got projects that are currently in place that we're moving forward with. The Unified Development Ordinance is one of those. That is actually a very big deal. Not everybody's interested in talking about zoning, but that's a very big deal. I also want to continue moving forward with the Waterfront Holland project, because I think that that's a very important thing to move forward with. We also have our strategic development team working now toward giving the city council recommendations on our community energy plan. I have said to them, those goals that you give us, I don't want to set a goal in front of you first, but I want that strategic development team to come back with are achievable goals, affordable goals for the city of Holland. I want us, whatever it is that they tell us, and I want those goals to be aggressive, but I don't want to set a goal that we can't do or that we can't afford. And we've got an incredibly smart team. We got a report back at the council meeting on Wednesday from the two members of council who are part of that strategic development team saying, wow, did we put together a group of very intelligent people who are out there doing the hard work that's necessary to figure out what it is that we as the people of Holland, not just the government, because the government can't answer these questions and can't solve this problem. The people of the city of Holland are going to need to step up. But what the council can do is find ways to make it the right thing to do for people, the easy and the economically smart thing to do. And that's what I'm going to be looking for in the future, is moving forward with Waterfront Holland, moving forward with Udo, and definitely moving forward with the community energy plan.
He is Holland Mayor Nathan Bocks. He joins us occasionally as the schedule rotates around for City Hall Chatter. We'll chat with him in about an hour or so from now with the Talk of the Town, Ask the Attorney segment. Nathan, of course, is with Central Park Law here in Holland. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on WHTC's Morning News City Hall Chatter. And again, I'll talk to you in about an hour, Nathan.
It's great to see you, and always good to have a rotation of council members so that they get to hear, city gets to hear all of the voices that represent them.
Thank you very much. Nathan Bocks on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.